From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
My father, who lived to be 93 and drove until he was 91, used to say to me, growing old is not for wimps. And I just turned 60 this year, and thank you. You get applause for 60 now. I must be old. Kidding. But it's, and being an aging anchor on television is just loads of fun, you know, keeping everything together with Spanx and duct tape. But I'm a baby boomer. I'm sort of on the end of the baby boomers, and I think baby boomers we have been creating the revolutions, you know, since 1968, 1969. And I think also we, in terms of aging, so many of us have watched, I know I did, watch my parents grow old and die and thought, oh my God, that was ugly. I don't want to go do it that way. And so I think we are ready for a revolution. And we are ready to start leaving breadcrumbs for the generations behind us, those millennials, you know, those dastardly millennials, you know. And I think, you know, while we're not ready to sack the temple of youth, I think we need to build a temple for being older and mature and having mastery and smarts and getting a clue, which I think is what you get when you lose your collagen. So with that in mind, it is an honor to welcome Joanne Jenkins, who's the CEO of AARP and author of, I love the title, the national bestseller, Disrupt Aging. And we are here today because of her. Did you know that she started this National Book Festival? Yes, she did. Yes. If 60 gets applause, then starting the book festival should definitely get applause. She launched it in 2001, and she was the Library of Congress's then chief operating officer, she led and expanded this festival through 2010. When they first started it, they had 5,000 people. Now, as you know, if you've been out there are 150,000 people attending this. Yeah. And since joining AARP in 2010 and leading it since 2014, Joanne has sponsored groundbreaking work to transform AARP into a leader in social change dedicated to enhancing quality of life for everyone as we age. Her legacy at the Library of Congress not only includes establishing and expanding this festival, but also creating the Library of Congress Experience, which is an interactive pathway offering access to the library's incomparable collection. That's a place where you need to go spend months. And she built strong and mutually supportive relationships with private sector sponsors so that we have all of this great access. And under her leadership, AARP, the vision there was reimagined, because you have to have vision and you have to keep sort of recreating yourself, as we know, as every decade goes by. And you have to redefine the challenges, get rid of the outdated beliefs, and really ignite some new insights that allow people to adapt to today's realities of aging. She also just finished in a partnership with us. We were so proud to be a part of it, and we were just talking about how to expand it next year. The Drive to End Hunger, which was a multi-year nationwide campaign, which has donated over 36 million meals and provides support to over 100 anti-hunger organizations across the country. So it is my privilege to welcome to the 2016 National Book Festival the best-selling author of the book Disrupt Aging, A Bold New Path to Living Your Best Life at Every Age, Dr. Joanne Jenkins.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It has been my honor to serve for 15 years at the Library of Congress and now to be the CEO at AARP, my two favorite organizations in the world. I'd like to start and share some thoughts with you, and then we'll open it up for questions at the end. But let me start with this question. How old would you be if you didn't know how old you were? Think about it for a moment. 5. It's an intriguing question. How does your age affect the way you behave, what you do, or what you don't do? And how often do you give in to society's or the media's idea of what is old? And then think about this. What if you could lose your preoccupation with age and just put it outside of your mind? What if, instead of being preoccupied with aging, we focus more on living? Would you behave any differently? Would you treat other people any differently? Or would you be happier and enjoy life more? I love to tell the story about the Hall of Fame pitcher Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige joined the Cleveland Indians in 1948 and helped lead them to the American League pennant that year. That was the first year he had in the majors, though he had played in the Negro Leagues for almost 20 years. He was somewhere in his mid-40s. I'm being vague because Satchel Paige never knew how old he was. Today, it's hard to find players who play over the age of 40, and playing past 50 was unheard of. But Satchel Paige did just that. And reporters would constantly ask him, how can you play at your age? What keeps you going? He would simply say, because he didn't know how old he was, his age didn't keep him from performing the way he knew he could. Age is a question of mind over matter, he would say. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Well, for better or worse, the overwhelming majority of Americans do know how old they are, and unlike Satchel Paige, they do allow their preperceptions of age to influence how they behave. And I wrote this book, Disrupt Aging, to change the conversation in this country about what it means to get older. And it's not about aging, it's about living. And it really is, I hope, giving people the opportunity to embrace aging as something to look forward to rather than something to fear, to see this period of your life not as a period of decline, but a period of growth, to recognize the opportunities, not just the challenges, and perhaps most importantly, to see themselves as contributors to society and not burdens. Here's the premise in a nutshell. We need to change the conversation in this country about what it means to grow older. The way people are aging is changing, but many of our attitudes and stereotypes about aging have not. We need to challenge these old stereotypes and attitudes and spark new solutions so more people can choose how they want to live and how they want to age. Disrupt Aging is not only about changing the conversation, it's also about changing the reality of aging, our individual behaviors, our social norms, public policies, and private sector practices. And it encompasses changing the culture, how we perceive, what we believe, and how we behave as individuals, as institutions, and collectively as society. So make no mistake about it, the way we are aging is changing, and mostly for the better. Consider this. 10,000 people a day are turning age 65, and that trend is going to continue for at least the next 14 years. Over the next 2 decades, the number of people aged 65 and older will nearly double to 72 million, or 1 in 5 Americans. And by 2050, people 60 and older will outnumber children 15 and under for the first time in our history. The fastest growing age group, people over the age of 85, and the second, over the age of 100. And if that doesn't make you stop and think, picture this. Picture a 10-year-old, maybe it's your son or daughter or granddaughter, grandson, niece, or nephew. That 10-year-old has a 50% chance of living to be 104. And the older he or she gets, the odds even grow larger. And some experts have already predicted that the first person who is ever going to live to be 150 is already alive today. Now let me pause here for just a moment. to point out that this is truly a remarkable achievement. We've added more years to the average life expectancy since the 1900s than in all human history up until this time combined. Today, because of increased longevity and generally better health, we have opportunities for continued productivity and growth that our parents and grandparents, generations before us, never had. The good news is that the way people are aging is changing, and it's mostly for the better. The bad news is that many of our beliefs and perceptions of aging have not changed, and nor has the solutions for supporting people as they age. Our ability to live longer, healthier, more productive lives is one of mankind's greatest accomplishments. Yet we don't see it that way. We often see it as a problem rather than a solution. And the negative stereotypes of aging are so ingrained in our psyches that they're difficult to overcome, and most of us don't even try. We either just accept this old stereotype and live out this negative image of aging, or we deny, like Wendy, that we're aging. And we fight it with every fiber of our being, and in some cases, every dollar in our bank account. If you go to the Google search engines and you type in the bar, "I lie about my," the first word that pops up is aging. We are a society obsessed with age. Everyone wants to live long, but nobody wants to get old. I've always thought that the comedian Larry Miller described it best. Some of you may have heard this. It says, "Do you realize that the only time in our lives when we like to get old is when we're kids? If you're less than 10-year-old old, you're so excited about aging, you think about it in fractions. How old are you? I'm 4.5. You're never 36.5. And going on 5. See, this is where the key is. You're going on. You're so excited about getting older, you're going on. You get into your teens, and now you're so thrilled, you jump to whole numbers. How old are you? I'm 16. I'm really 12, but I'm going to be 16. And then the highlight of that experience, you become 21. See, even the word become sounds much more wonderful. It's theatrical, magical. You become 21. But that's as good as it gets. It all changes after that. You're 4.5, yes. You're going to be 16, sure. You become 21, yes, that's okay. And then all of a sudden, you turn 30. What happened here? Turn, it sounds like bad milk. He turned 30. We had to throw him out. So it's not much more fun anymore, is it? Now it's getting ugly. You become 21, you turn 30, and now you're pushing 40. Stay over there. 40, I'm pushing back. But it doesn't stop there. You become 21, you turn 30, you're pushing 40, and finally, you reach 50. Oh, my dreams are gone. But now it's going fast. You become 21, you turn 30, you're pushing 40, you reach 50, and all of a sudden, you hit 60. You become 21, you turn 30, you're pushing 40, you reach 50, you hit 60, and you make it to 70. I didn't think I was ever going to make it. And after that, it's a day-by-day thing. You become tired. You turn 43. And into your 90s, you start going backwards. I was just 92. But a strange thing happened, folks. If you can ever make it over 100, you become a kid again. I'm 104.5. Okay? We laugh of what Larry Miller was talking about because it's so familiar to all of us. It's ingrained in our culture. We've all seen those television ads on TV and in magazines that says 50 is the new 30 or 60 is the new 40. Well, while that may sound like a nice sentiment, as someone over 50, I don't agree with them at all. 50 is the new 50, and it looks good. All right, great. I often tell people that I have benefited immensely from the experiences and the wisdom that these years have brought me, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. Besides, we're not becoming younger as we get older. We can't, no matter how hard we try. We're redefining what it means to be our age. It's not our own aging we need to fight against. It's the ageist attitudes and perceptions that permeates our society, which plays such a huge part and huge role in shaping our culture. And when we start to change the perception of aging, we change the culture. So with that in mind, here's a video that we created that illustrates some of what I'm talking about. I want you to keep in mind that these actors thought they were auditioning for an intergenerational documentary. See what happens.
Hey, how's it going? You can stand right there. That's your mark. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Great.
Awesome.
Just tell us your first name and your age.
My real age?
My name is Paolo. I'm 25 years old.
My name is Daniela, and I'm 19.
24.
35.
31. 33.
I'm 26 years old.
What age do you consider to be old?
Late 40s?
Maybe 50.
I feel like 30 is a new 20, so I'd say like 40 is old.
I'd probably say 50s.
I'd like you to show me how an old person would cross the street.
I would imagine them having some kind of a cane.
How might an old person do a push-up?
And they probably couldn't get back up.
Show me how an old person would send a text message. Do a jumping jack.
I'm like envisioning Grandpa. Grandpa, you're not old, but...
Okay, hang on. There's someone I want you to meet.
Hello, I'm Birch. I'm 66.
I'm Bob. I'm 65.
Hi, I'm Daphne, and I'm 68.
I'm Mio, 59.
I'm Dee, and I'm 55.
George Fastbinder, 75.
My name is Parvati. I'm 70.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We're gonna give you about 2 minutes to teach each other something that you are good at.
I can teach you a jump that I do.
Okay, please.
Both of your legs go up, and your right arm goes up, and your left arm goes like to the side. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Lift 1, 2, 3. And bring it to your heart. And bring it to your heart. Add the head in. Yeah.
You want to try to get your balance and raise up. And now, you bring your legs and your feet up. It's hard, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. So when you switch, you're just pretty much jumping. So it's kind of like this. You can go from here, you can bounce with it.
Over. Now forward. Over. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So when you come out of a turn, either way, you go back to that basic. So you're going to go back with your right foot. Okay?
Square it like this, and give me a hook. Hook. Jab, cross, hook, and then we'll go like this, all right?
The nene.
The nene, okay.
Gonna whip it.
Whip it, okay.
The other side.
Here.
Drive that bus.
All right.
Now just wave to the people.
Oh, okay, I like that. Wave to the people, okay.
Now, what age might you consider to be old?
Probably 80 or 90. He could just do everything that I told him to do.
An age that I would consider to be old now might be 100.
Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I said in the 50s. I thought that would be old. But when I thought about it, like...
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
I can do it. It really changed my thinking of what old is.
You've taught me something today. Clearly, there's no way she's old, you know?
Now I know from today ahead, I don't look at age.
At my age, I feel capable of doing anything because I don't think I'm limited in anything I can do.
At my age, I feel like I did when I was in my 20s.
At my age, I feel like I'm just getting started.
That's just when you put together everything you've learned.
There's so many things that I still want to do. There's so many things that I can do. As long as I'm growing and learning, then age doesn't matter.
When people start stopping, that's when they start getting old.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Daphne.
It was great meeting you.
How long have you been doing this? Is this a new skill?
40 years.
Wow.
See what I mean? You change the perceptions and you begin to change beliefs. Think about it this way. Today, it is socially unacceptable to ignore, ridicule, or stereotype someone based on their race or gender or sexual orientation. So why is it still acceptable for people to do this based on age? Aging is not a problem any more than living is. It's a human experience and a natural part of life. Muhammad Ali once said that people who see life the same way at 50 that they did at 20 has wasted 30 years of life. In today's world, we might add that people who see life at 80 the same way they did at 50 have also wasted 30 years. And so I won't pretend that we aren't affected by our aging process. We are. But it's time we put aging in its proper perspective. We can't allow society, whether it be the media or advertisers or popular culture, to delude us into thinking we can or should stay young forever. That leads to this sense of denial about who we are and where we are in life, and ultimately a feeling of hopelessness and despair. And my years at AARP have confirmed for me that a growing number of people who are 50 and older are ready to change this conversation about what it means to get older. We like where we are. We're looking forward to the years ahead, and we're connecting with more people in more meaningful ways through our technologies. We're committed to both our family and energized by our work, and we don't have to make a choice. We can and have both. We are caregivers, whether as adult children taking care of older parents, parents caring for children, or grandparents taking care of grandkids, or some combination of all of these. We're volunteers and philanthropists, and we are leaders in our communities, supporters of our churches, and helping hands to our friends and neighbors. We are a generation of makers and doers who have a desire to continue exploring our possibilities and to celebrate discovery over decline. And we seek out these opportunities and grab a hold of them wherever we find them. That optimism, that desire to live life on its own terms, to make a difference is very real. And it confirms my belief that no one's possibilities should be limited by their age and that experience has value. I also know that people face real challenges every day. Many struggle to meet their most basic needs of health, financial, caring for themselves or their families, and they don't want to be limited or defeated by these challenges. They want to win back their opportunities. And we need to disrupt aging to help people confront their challenges and embrace their opportunities to the fullest extent possible. That requires changing the way we talk about aging from something to fear to something to look forward to. And this change is long overdue. To start, there are 3 areas where change is most needed for individuals in our society, and I refer to them as health, wealth, and self. I believe we can create a society where all people can grow older knowing that they have access to the care, information, and services they need to live longer and healthier and more independent lives, where we have the financial resources and opportunities to match our longer life expectancy, and where we're seen as an integral part of a society and an aspirational asset. By focusing on health, wealth, and self, Disrupt Aging is beginning to alter the mindsets around aging. Fortunately, age disruptors are everywhere, like you in this room, and we don't have to look far to find them. As the boomers move into their 50s and 60s, and now beginning this year into their 70s, they're disrupting aging every day, just as they have done with other aspects of their lives. Millennials are also disrupting aging by the way they're demanding a work-life balance in their jobs, how they're showing us the benefits of this economic model in shared communities. You know, Maya Angelou once said that at 50, each of us finally becomes the person we've always wanted to be. I think that's true. I believe that age and experience can expand the possibilities in life for every member of society. And when we disrupt aging and embrace it as a part of life to look forward to, we can begin to discover the real possibilities of living a life that we've always thought. In closing, I'd like to leave you with this thought. On January 6, 1941, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt stood before a joint session of Congress to deliver his annual State of the Union address. And in that speech, Roosevelt argued for an end to the isolationist policies that grew out of World War I and offered a new ideology based on 4 freedoms: the freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. Roosevelt's 4 freedoms became a rallying cry to garner public support for America's involvement in World War II. They resonated with the American people as a statement of the country's underlying values, and to this day, Roosevelt's 4 freedoms still rings through as the basic values that defines American life and examples of American exceptionalism. Indeed, this forum, this book festival here today is a living testament to the core democratic values of free speech. In much the same way as Roosevelt's 4 freedoms inspired America to wake up and realize what was happening in the world and to act, I have identified what I call the 4 freedoms of aging that will define our new vision for living and aging in America and to inspire us to continue to disrupt aging, making that vision a reality. The first one, the freedom to choose how and where you want to live as you age. When it comes to aging, there is no one size fits all. If you want to follow a traditional path to retirement, you should be able to do that. If you want to stay active, engaged, you should have the options to pursue that as well. And whether you want to continue living in your own home as you get older, or move to a retirement community, or live in an institutional setting, those options should be yours to choose from. It's all about having options that allow you to choose how you want to live and age. The second freedom, the freedom to earn. A key part of the retirement model that most of us grew up with was the freedom from work. Today, a key part of that extended middle age is the freedom to work. Many of us want or need to continue earning a living and are searching for ways to make a difference in a society through the work that we do. And this requires reimagining work and breaking down both social and institutional barriers that stand in the way. The third freedom, the freedom to learn. Our world is changing so fast. New technologies, new ways of communicating with each other, new ways of receiving and processing information, it's hard for some of us to keep up. If we want to stay engaged, involved, and productive during this extended middle age and beyond, we need to keep learning. If we want to continue working, we need to keep learning in order to keep our job skills up to date. We need to keep learning in order to avoid isolation, and we need to keep learning for our own personal fulfillment and to simply enjoy life. But let's face it, the opportunities for us to keep learning seem to diminish as we get older. And in many cases, They're just not there. As we continue to disrupt aging, we hope to bring down those barriers and to create new opportunities to learn as we get older. And the fourth freedom, the freedom to pursue happiness by discovering and fulfilling your purpose in life. That's what it's really all about. Our longer lives gives us an extraordinary opportunity to become the person we've always wanted to be. No longer burdened by the many day-to-day stresses that consume our lives as we are building up our careers and raising our kids, many of us are using this extended middle age to turn inward and to focus on finding and fulfilling our purpose in life. We have the power to reimagine our lives, to change course and discover new ways of fulfillment. Civil rights leader A. Philip Randolph keenly observed that freedom is never given, it is won. Winning these four freedoms begins with each of us. We can't afford to sit on the sidelines and wait for someone else to win these freedoms for us. We have to do this ourselves. It's time to tell our stories about what we believe and what we can do. So I ask you, in your conversations with your family and your friends, what beliefs will you start to challenge in your own life? In your life and in your work, what solutions will you spark? In everything you do, think about what new possibilities you can create for yourself and for others, and what are you going to do to continue to disrupt aging? Disrupt aging is our rallying cry to create a new vision for living and aging in the 21st century. Our new vision is about a world which aging is not about decline, it's about growth. It doesn't present only challenges, it also creates opportunities, and older people are not burdens to society, they're contributors. When we disrupt aging and embrace it as something to look forward to instead of something to fear, we begin to discover the real possibilities for becoming the person we've always wanted to be and to build a society where each of us are valued for who we are as a person, not how old we are. I hope you enjoy the Disrupt Aging book, and I would love to answer any of your questions. Thank you. Questions? Yes. They're going to give you a mic right there.
Thanks. I'm a journalist. I tell my young journalism friends that the 60s so far was my best decade as far as journalism goes, and halfway through the next decade now, this one's looking good too. But I'm wondering about some legal help for certain areas of discrimination. For instance, I have applied a couple of years now for some grants that I really think I can contribute to. And the first question on the grant application is the date of birth and your age. And I just find that, why would you need to know that for a grant?
So the question was about age discrimination and what avenues of redress do we have that. I would say to you that, and it's probably not any shock, that age discrimination is alive and well. We certainly see it particularly in the workplace. And so I know that I will just speak for AARP in saying that we have a whole staff of legal team who works on age discrimination every day and really trying to address and see the systemic barriers that are created around age discrimination. So I would suggest that you either contact your local AARP office, and I'm sure they would be more than willing to help. I will also add that for the first time in history, we're seeing 5 generations in the workplace at one time. If you're assuming that interns are coming in at 18 and people are working until their 90s or 100s, and the whole spectrum of what the workforce will look like in the future is dramatically changing. And we also have to adjust to that workplace and figure out how do we bring the value of all of those generations together. And so it's going to be, I often talk about, for most of us, we went to work at one place or maybe two places, and if we were looking at somebody's resume and they had jumped around to 5 or 6 jobs, we probably didn't call them back in for a second interview. Today, the norm is that if you are staying somewhere over 3 or 4 years, you're probably being stagnant in your workplace, and that people are having 10 to 15 different places of work. The workplace of the future is going to be that not only people are working 10 or 15 different places, but they're going to have 3 or 4 totally different careers. And so this whole idea of freedom to learn is how we need to start engaging, so that having that college degree or that master's degree isn't going to be good enough for you to be able to compete in a workplace that is changing dramatically with respect to technology and some of the way the world is changing. So important for us to continue to learn and keep pace with those technologies. Other questions? I can't really see. Yes, please.
My name's Naomi, and I am 59 and a half, and I did celebrate that.
Great.
My question is, thank you. My question is, okay, so you're saying all these people are aging into the hundreds and da-da-da, and soon we'll be 150, so what are we going to do, retire at 130? I mean, that doesn't sound like all that much fun to me.
I would say to you that I've been throwing out this idea that somehow we need to move middle age from 50 to past 65, because we're going to have an extra 30 years to do something very meaningful in our life, or to continue to work at a time period. When Social Security and Medicare and those programs were put in place, people were expecting to retire at 65, and life expectancy was 67 or 68. And you heard me say earlier that the fastest growing age group is people over the age of 85. But we can't just tack on to the end of our life and decide, oh, I have 10 extra years, what am I going to do? We're going to have to rethink, for those, particularly those on the younger end, rethink how you're going to plan financially. We don't want to outlive our income, and we certainly want to be able to live comfortably in doing that. And so how do we start thinking about our social support system in this country? Because we're actually better off than most countries around the world in terms of our support systems around Social Security and Medicare and those kind of programs. But each of us are going to have to think through our own personal health, how we're living, whether we're exercising and eating healthier, and think about how we need to plan accordingly so that we don't get to that end of life and be in poor health for some 10 or 15 years. That would be the worst thing that could happen. We need to make sure that we're living healthier and taking care of ourselves and exercising and doing all those things, so that that period of decline, because we all will have that period of decline, will be condensed, hopefully in that 2 to 3 year period rather than a 10 to 15 year caregiving phase. I think we have time for one more question.
Good afternoon, Florence Navarro. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called Empowered Women International. We train women in this region to start their own business. And so my question to you is, we actually see quite a few women who come to us to prepare for their retirement, and they want to build on their passion or their skills to start a business to complement their retirement. What is your view on entrepreneurship and starting your own business, and what kind of help should be provided or could be provided? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, and two important facts. Women are the fastest growing users of technology and social media, as well as starting their own businesses. So I think that this is a particular area for everyone, but especially for women, as we think about those skills that we've developed over the course of these years. And I know that it's important, and there's a lot of online information as well as through the Small Business Administration that talks about the preparation. So not just to have a great idea, but also how do you have the financial and business plans around that business idea, because more and more of us are going to be independent workers or self-employed contractors servicing the private sector. And so it's important that we get those skill sets and that we're willing to take that leap of faith to take that great idea and turn it into a business. So thank you for the work that you guys are doing, and it's a growing field, and all of us need to be engaged in that. They're telling me one more question.
Yes. This is the question of all the time you've spoken, I have not heard the word senior, and I hopefully that senior only refers to something associated with discount. But my real question, you mentioned about choices of places to be, and maybe you would talk a little bit about aging in community.
And I would say I rarely use the word senior, because I think we ought to be judging people about their abilities, and that term senior seems to imply, in my mind, that you're in your last phase of life, ready to graduate. And so I know I personally don't use that, because it's, to me, you can't judge somebody by an age, but about their abilities. So important that we think about how we build out what we call livable communities. How do we get mayors and county officials to start building communities that from day one allow people to age in their own community? Important factual information that we've been seeing over the last couple years is that there is a closer relationship between millennials and boomers than any other age segments in the country. They like to live in community. They want to work 5 to 10 minutes from their own home. They want the flexibility to be in work and out of work. I see a little millennial sitting here, and she's shaking her head to sort of do that. And that transportation is important. You've seen these whole shared economy models of people like companies of like Lyft and Uber. When they set up these companies, it was to solve a millennial problem of how do we get around in a place that we don't actually want to have the burden of paying a car note, and yet we want the flexibility to do that. When Airbnb started, they had no idea. I was talking to the woman who was one of the co-founders of Airbnb, and she said to us, we never anticipated that the users of Airbnb were going to be over the age of 50. Same thing with Lyft and Uber, that they tell us that some of their best drivers are over the age of 50. They show up for work on time. They don't get in accidents, contrary to what people say about older workers, and that it's important that they have the flexibility to bring that additional income in society. I hope time is up. I thank you for coming. We're going to be signing books in just a few minutes out at the Disrupt Aging booth. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your time today.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.